Hey guys, welcome to our first day on the coronavirus. I am so excited you guys chose this unit and chose this as our last thing we're going to study about. It's going to be awesome to learn alongside you and be able to understand how this tiny little virus has impacted our entire world and brought us to a halt. My goal through this whole unit is for you to become a better informed citizen and understand, best practices of how we can stay safe during this whole thing. So let's get started with the objectives. So the first thing we're going to learn about is we're going to describe epidemiology. We're going to identify what determinants are. We're going to compare and contrast morbidity versus mortality. And then we're going to identify the goals of epidemiology. So here is the definition. The one in black is extremely wordy and long-winded. So here's the basic definition of this epidemiology: is the study of diseases within a population. So the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control in America, and the World Health Organization, they are an organization filled with epidemiologists. So these guys who are kind of leading the information out to the world for this coronavirus, they are studying this disease, COVID, in our populations. They just study it. They try to figure out where it's coming from, where it's going. They try to figure out, where the disease came from and how it's affecting different populations. So the older, the younger, all those wonderful things. So they just study diseases, and that's what epidemiology is. So here's they're concerned with. They're concerned with the distribution and determinants of the health and diseases, so how they are distributed. The morbidity, which just means illness, like how many people are become ill from the disease. Injuries, disability, mortality, so death from the illness. So does it cause disabilities? Does it cause injuries? There's so many things that go into it, but basically they're studying all these things in order to find out more about the disease. Determinants are factors or events that are capable of bringing about a change in health. So for example, there are biological agents associated with infectious disease like bacteria or viruses. Cue COVID-19. So that's what COVID is. It's a biological agent. Chemical agents that are carcinogens. We learned that carcinogens mean cancer-causing chemicals, and then stress or adverse lifestyle patterns that can also determine a person's illness or death. And oftentimes epidemiologists encounter a problem where the determinants are unknown. Cue COVID. So we really don't know, we kind of know where it came from, but they're still trying to piece things together right now, which is a very interesting time. They also want to look at how it's distributed. So how frequent diseases may vary from one population group to another. So there's some races or people groups that experience different diseases based on their genetic factors rather than another group of people. So that's also a part of their duties. Populations, they look at disease in the population groups, not just individuals. They are looking at the clinical description. So for instance, in COVID, you usually have a high temperature. This is kind of like the basic that they found in their studies. This is the basic symptoms people experience with COVID: high temperature, dry cough, shortness of breath, and then the epidemiologic description is age groups most likely affected, time trends, and geographic trends. So basically, what age the person, what most age groups are affected. It's going to be the older generations, the older populations versus the younger populations. How long it takes to become affected, and then how fast it's spreading around the world. That's a geographic trend. So that's kind of what they look at through population. And so epidemiology investigates many different kinds of health outcomes: infectious diseases, chronic diseases, disability, injury, positive functioning of life, health-related incidents, so mental instability, drug addiction, and injury.